take part in this important debate, so ably introduced by my honourable friend for Eastbourne. Someone said to me recently that when we say throw it away, we need to realise that there is no such place as away, because everything goes somewhere and ends up somewhere. Matter goes to different types of matter. So we need to think about our language sometimes and just have a whole different mindset in this important area. And what we're talking about today is about reducing waste, reducing cost, conserving nature, and making sure the polluter pays. I think those are principles that we would all sign up. I think they are inherently conservative ones as well. But they are really, really important ones. And we have to get away, as my honourable friend from Eastbourne said, from the linear economy concept of take, make and dispose to the circular economy of reuse, repair, recycle and remanufacture. And I would pay tribute to those businesses, large and small, that have been engaged on this journey for a while. I think it was first from Unilever that I heard the expression, the circular economy. I think many businesses do get it. I think they want a helping and supportive environment from the government, which I know the Minister will try to provide for them. We have had many examples in this debate already of items going unnecessarily to landfill, and one of them already mentioned is toys. So I was particularly pleased to be able to present a Point of Light award, Mr. Hosey, to Charlotte Liebling in my constituency in Leighton Buzzard, who runs the wonderful charity Loved Before. And what Loved Before does, it takes children's teddies, which have been greatly loved, often hugged night after night, and when those children don't want them anymore, they go to Love Before. They are sanitised, repaired, repackaged and loved again and again and again by other children. And Charlotte has prevented thousands and thousands of teddies from going to landfill all over the country, and it was a particular pleasure to present Charlotte with her Point of Light award from our former Prime Minister a couple of years ago. We are in the middle of a cost of living crisis for reasons we're all familiar with, and I think it is important to point out to our constituents that reusing resources and reducing waste can save the average household around £300 a year, and that is not an insignificant sum of money, Mr. Hosey, for many families. So there is definitely an economic aspect to help people's purses and wallets at the moment. I'm pleased to see many of our leading companies like IKEA, Currys, Primark and Apple with their take-back schemes. I think it was scandalous that in the early days you would buy a mobile phone. Many of us get pressurised to replace our mobile phones after even only 2 years, and then the mobile phone companies don't go and upgrade the software on our mobile phones, so we're almost forced to replace them. But it's good that companies like Apple now have a proper take-back scheme so other people can use those phones and they don't get wasted. I was very pleased to see the announcement that the government brought out on Saturday morning. We have to recognise that recycling rates have plateaued in England at around 44%. They rose for a number of years, but we're not making the progress that we want. And the government's commitment to a deposit return scheme in the next year or so, the requirements on local authorities to recycle standardised items, making sure there is a mandatory recycling label, so that very clear, easy to understand guarantee that if a product has the mandatory recycling label on it, wherever you are in the country, you can put that in the recycling bin and know that it will get recycled and not have to wonder whether your local authority does it or not. Weekly food waste collections, really, really important. A couple of years ago, I learnt that if food waste was a country in its own right, globally, it would have the third highest greenhouse gas emissions on the planet. that is hugely significant. It's very dangerous gases. It's methane, which is particularly bad for the environment. So this is so important. And I would gently say to some of my constituents, even up and down my road, that I don't always see the food waste bin outside up and down my road, Mr. Hosey. I make sure mine goes out every week. But, it is actually part of our civic responsibility, to get with the programme, actually. If we care about environment and care about our planet. So a little bit of gentle encouragement from me there to some of my constituents. And the extended producer responsibility scheme for packaging, absolutely right. The polluter pays principle. The government is so right to be committed to that. It shouldn't be the taxpayer that generally who always has to pick up the tab. Those responsible need to raise their game as well. And I welcome the government's commitment to the near elimination of biodegradable municipal waste to landfill from 2028. That is excellent. I'm also pleased to see a commitment. We want to raise that 44% of recycling up to 65% of municipal waste by 2035. That's excellent. I'd love it to be sooner, but let's try and at least meet that target or get there earlier if we possibly can. And also, I'm particularly pleased about the mandatory digital waste tracking. There are too many fly-tipping cowboy criminals. I mentioned this issue in my maiden speech over 22 years ago, and we need to crack down on them. And congratulations to Peter Byrne at Central Bedfordshire Council, who has got a number of convictions on this front recently, which is excellent. So a couple of areas where I think we could do more. Farm food waste. There's too much farm food waste going to waste. That's food that could be eaten. It's not always easy. I had a particularly prolific apple tree this year, Mr. Hosey. I tried to give them away. I did as much as I could, but I'm afraid, some was wasted from that. I've peeled cores and sliced and put as much as I can in my deep freeze, but, I think farmers need help in this area. Textiles, we've already had mentioned in this debate. It is shocking that only 1% are recycled. I'd like to do another shout-out to my dry cleaner, Met, of Four Seasons Dry Cleaners in Dunstables, who has repatched my gardening trousers, I think about 12 times, Mr. Hosey, and I keep on wearing them, and that is very good. And we've got to get away from fast tech in electronic items as well. And great that the UK was in the lead on the UN Global Plastic Treaty as well. And let me just finish by saying absolutely shocking that a plastic bottle, 5 seconds to make, 5 seconds to drink, and then 500 years in our environment. We have to do better on that front.